All right, welcome everybody to the Fish plus ResponsiBid webinar where Kurt, the founder of ResponsiBid, will be discussing things with David Galkin of Fish Window Cleaning in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Actually, are you directly in Allentown?
I am in Allentown, yes.
Okay, cool. I just want to make
Have
sure.
you been? Have you been?
I think I met you in Allentown, didn't I? At the oh wait, you just said you do window cleaning, not pressure washing too much. I was at
No,
a big
it was a Jack Kramer's thing in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you were there?
I was there. Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I think I might have met you the first time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So cool. Welcome to all the fish franchisees who are coming. This is sort of an unofficial, well, say sort of. This is not sponsored or put on by Fish headquarters. I want to make sure that everyone understands we are not speaking on behalf of Fish, but Dave's been with us a long. Dave, how long have you been with ResponsiBid?
Probably 7 years, maybe 6 or 7 before COVID. So that's like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 years, I think.
And you've been to ResponsiCon, our user conference, and won biggest hustler, I think, award. Lots of bids moving through ResponsiBid. Obviously, you've grown quite a successful franchise. You've used ResponsiBid a long time alongside of the Fish software. And you told me the name of it just a moment ago. What's the Fish CRM called?
It's called Fish 3. Pretty simple.
Fish 3. Fish 3. As long as you remember 3, it's pretty easy to remember.
That's right.
So I think a lot of people think that Fish 3 is the only software that they can use. And that is a misconception. We'll be discussing a little bit about that today. But it is important to say as we get into this, ResponsiBid does not currently have an API connection to Fish 3, as really nothing does. But Dave, we want to get into it with you and just discuss what originally led you to ResponsiBid and some of the things that you get out of it combined with Fish 3, and why this is part of your suite of tools that you would use. So let's start with how you found out about ResponsiBid and what kind of brought you in.
I mean, I honestly don't remember. I think it's when I met you at the pressure washing convention that Jack Kramer used to put on in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I think that's probably the first time I met you. And it looked like an interesting tool, so Fish historically, Fish has been around for a long time, right? 40, 45 years, since the 70s. One of the oldest window cleaning companies in the country. We focus mostly on commercial work, not so much on residential. And I think when I met you and some other people at the conference there was a little more focus on residential. And at that point in my business, it was about maybe 3 years into business or so, 3.5 years. We were looking to grow the residential side of our business more. We did quite a good thorough going through and getting a lot of commercial work. And we really wanted to focus on residential more, and that's why I thought ResponsiBid looked like a good tool to continue that growth on the residential side.
We actually do hear that a lot. And for those that are Fish franchisees tuning in, maybe just in the comments, let us know who you are and what part of the world you're in. And also, if you wouldn't mind, just let us know, are you focused on commercial, residential, both? I know Fish has a reputation for a lot of route work, and I think that's where Dave sort of started.
Yep.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, route work provides a lot of certainty in recurring revenue. So share with us in the comments who you are, what part of the world you're in, and what your focus is, residential, commercial, or both. And Dave, as you got into ResponsiBid, tell us a little bit about what you found was the important key or element of ResponsiBid that meant that you wanted to continue moving forward with it.
Yeah. So again, back then, 7 years ago, whenever it was, there wasn't a very robust mechanism in the Fish franchise system for acquiring and following up with residential, prospects. And I kind of realized at that time that there's only so much time in a day, and me driving around and trying to meet with every homeowner and trying to provide estimates wasn't like a good long-term strategy. So when I saw what ResponsiBid had as far as in the presentation of proposals and stuff to residential customers. I like that a lot more than what we had at that point. And even still now, it is better than what we in Fish have at this point. So that's kind of why I decided to test it out.
Cool. Looks like Roland's with us here from Collegeville, PA. How close is that to you?
About an hour and 20 minutes south. Roland's been around for about 20 years in Fish.
Oh, wow. All right. Yep. That's cool. So you guys are like, I'm assuming referring work to each other pretty frequently, huh?
We do. Yep. Yeah, we have a good relationship with Roland. Yep.
Cool. Well, 80% retail, 20% residential. That's a pretty nice mix. We also have R. Hewins.
Ray Hewins.
He's also a ResponsiBid user, 85% commercial, 15% residential. Mm-hmm. That's cool. We got a few current ResponsiBidders in here. One of the things that you talked about is that you really like it for window cleaning and selling window cleaning to residential customers. A couple things that I want to point out, and we'll probably just touch on it. If people want us to touch on it, they can leave it in the comments for us so that we can, maybe deep dive on it if we need to. But ResponsiBid has a few ways of selling that are really important for a buyer. So the normal way an estimate works is that you just put a bunch of stuff in line items, you total up that dollar amount column, and you throw a dollar amount at the bottom. If you charge tax, you add tax to that, and then you have your grand total. The problem with that when you're buying is that it can get really confusing if you're trying to figure out what solution you're looking for. So like if you put a line item for window cleaning, another line item for screen cleaning, another line item for track cleaning, another line item for sill wiping, or heaven forbid that you have to throw in some sort of pressure washing or gutter cleaning with it. What happens is that it all jumbles together, and a customer will start trying to figure out in the estimate process, what do I need to take out of here? What am I trying to cross out? Where packages, when you're buying them, it's sort of like, do you want to be this happy, or this happy? And as someone goes through and tries to figure out how happy they are, that is what dictates how much they pay and what services they get. Danica's here. She's in Destin, Florida, which, by the way, one of the coolest family trips I ever went on was to Destin. Super good memories there. I can't imagine living there. That's so cool. 80% commercial, 20% residential. We got another 80-20. We have an 85-15 and an 80-20, another 80-20. So looks like there's some common threads there. So Dave, when we got on, I was asking you about bundling, and you said we really haven't done that because bundling starts taking not just levels of service within a package, and but it moves into mixing services together. So for those of you that do gutter cleaning or any kind of pressure washing, or any other service for that matter, you can start building packages, for example, that include a roof cleaning, a gutter whitening, a gutter cleaning, and a window cleaning. And so when someone asks you for window cleaning and you tell them it's a $499 job, but it's only $14.99 if we do all of it as a bundle. And that's not something that we plan to get very far into on this particular call because Dave really focuses just on the window cleaning side of things. But if you are curious about that and you want to see a little bit about it, we can certainly show that in the in the demo portion of this. Just let us know if that's something you'd like to see. And of course, there's Dave just rocking the boat.
Yeah,
75-25. 75-25.
Comment work. Yep.
All good. Okay. So Dave, let's talk a little bit about your customer intake flow and what that looks like when it bumps up against ResponsiBid. So sure. If a customer calls in and you find out they're residential, where do you go from there?
Okay, good question. So customer calls our office. Our office manager, Liz, who's been with us about 4 years, she picks up the phone. The first question is commercial or residential. You can usually tell very easily. And she will immediately open up ResponsiBid, right, and go to the call screen. So we don't We don't use, a lot of fish franchisees think that we have to, or that ResponsiBid forces you to use the online bidding tool. We don't use that. We never have. We thought it'd be a cool idea in the beginning, but then we rethought that. So our office manager Liz will take their information. She opens up the call screen, and it's pretty simple. In the call screen, we set it up to ask, mandatory questions: first name, last name, phone number, email, and address. Right, those are the first things. So Liz will ask that, and then she'll kind of guide the customer in our process of, hey, we're gonna take your information. I'm gonna pull up your house on Google Street View, because we do about probably 95% of our residential estimates on Google Street View and Google Satellite. It works well for our market, and Liz has gotten very good at it over the past couple of years. And she'll let the customer know that I'm going to look online. If there's something that I can't see, or doesn't make sense, then we will send someone out to take a look. But about 95% of the time, we'll have all the information, and we will have you a proposal in your email within 5 minutes. So
Okay.
most of the time, she will hang on the phone with the customer for a few minutes while she's looking at the Street View and Satellite, and just ask them questions such as, do your windows slide open? Do they slide up and down? Do they crank open? Do you have screens on the outside? Do you have plastic or wooden grids that you can feel on the inside? When you're inside your house on the window, and she'll just fill all that stuff out in ResponsiBid, and then just hit the Get Proposal button, and it'll send the proposal to the customer. Pretty simple.
Yeah, and when it sends the proposal to the customer, just a little context there, is it's actually using your own templated follow-up builder.
Yep.
So the moment someone is given a quote, ResponsiBid puts them in what's called the open status. It's like are they going to go? Aren't they going to buy from us place? And at that point, you really don't know if they're going to accept the quote or not. So you can set up every day, every week, however many follow-ups you want, each with a link to the proposal if you choose, to go to the customer and ask them to have a look at the proposal, and if they have any questions or whatever. So when she's on the phone, is she trying to close the sale right then and there, or is she really just trying to get information to the customer and let them just think on it for a while?
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't really do any kind of high pressure sales. She can usually tell, once she hits the Get Proposal button. So she'll have our 3 package options show up, and she'll just read them. She'll ask, Mrs. Smith, do you have time for me to go over this with you? It's going to take about 1 or 2 minutes, and she'll just read exactly what the customer is going to see. Hey, this is our premium window cleaning. It includes, this and this and this, and it's $900 plus tax. This is the deluxe. It includes this and this and this. It's $700 plus tax, and so on. And sometimes people will just immediately, once they hear what they want, they will just stop her and say, "Yeah, I want that one. The deluxe. Let's do it. When can you schedule?" And then she'll go ahead and schedule them. But there's no like, "Hey, you gotta schedule now." It's some people say, "No, I'm in the car. I'll take a look at the email and I'll get back to you." So we just kind of
Cool.
we make sure it goes out, and that's it.
So that's kind of an important thing for people to understand, is that if you do use it on the website and you're giving quotes, it kicks off the same exact system. The difference is that Dave knows that someone at his company has already looked at the satellite view, and that this proposal is going to be pretty dang accurate, because someone at the company has already grilled the customer for the question and visually looked at what Google showed.
Just to stop you there, Kurt. So like we do not have it on our website, and I don't believe Fish will allow anyone to do that. We thought,
Really?
I talked to Randy 7 years ago about it, or 6 years ago, and I thought it would be a good idea. And then the more I thought about it, I figured there's no way a customer is going to count their windows correctly. So let me just avoid that problem and not have the availability to have them, input window counts and types of windows and that. Fish, as a franchise, we do have an estimate form online, and we do the same process. When we get someone that submits that estimate form, it says they're residential and this is their address, email, and phone number. We just go to the call screen and we input that information, and we open up Google Satellite and put it all in. So the customer's not doing it themselves, but we're doing it.
Perfect. So what's really nice about that is that, well, actually, let me just back up for a second. We find that there are usually 2 types of people who would even want to put it on their website. And I think that the franchise might actually make it so that neither of these are ever really the case. The first is the owner operator who has absolutely no time, can't get anything done because they're just completely bombarded by all of the tasks they have. And the only way they can serve a customer is by making it available on their website, because they can't even answer their own phone. They can't, like, they're just so far behind the ability to really keep up with their customers. And some people in that phase, they'll do it when the season's like upon them and they have no time. And then there's just the type of people who, they're just such a small company, they have no option. I think that the Fish franchise system probably provided you guys with a way to sort of bypass that particular problem anyway. The other people that are putting it online are using it as just a lead capture, or they've grown to the point where their sales reps want to pre-qualify who they're going out to go visit. So if you have problems with people who are like, looking for $99 residential type cleaning, that's just not feasible. Some people use it as a pre-qualification way, whether it's through pricing or just a lead capture that they go in and finish off inside, like they've just described. So if Fish isn't going to allow it to be on your website, the cool part is that this process that we just talked about with someone going into the open sequence, you don't have to apply any pressure because you're going to apply consistency. The fact is that the moment you hang up with that person, you can now send them emails, text messages. You can integrate with SendGym and send them postcards. You could send their neighbors postcards. There's so much that you can do that is going to happen every time. And it does it based on where they're at in their buying cycle. So, Dave, if you got someone who decides to sign up with you right away, and like they stop you and say, I want to go with the premium package, what does that look like for you and your business?
Yeah. So again, if they're currently on the phone, they're talking to Liz in the office and they say, yeah, that's the one I want, right? There's some percentage of customers that they just go with that, right? The most expensive one. We go ahead and ResponsiBid. We put them into the scheduled status. So we go into scheduled, and then we start throwing dates at them. Okay, Mrs. Smith, we have May 10th, May 14th, and May 18th available. Which one of those work? And they'll pick whatever date works. And then we'll select that date in ResponsiBid, and they're now in the scheduled status. We do take a deposit. There's several Fish franchisees that have started doing that over the past couple of years. So we take a $100 deposit for all residential, and we let the customer know, you have 72 hours to reschedule or cancel. And that deposit amount comes off the total amount. But now they're in the scheduled status, and they get all the follow up for the scheduled up until their appointment.
And when you do that, it basically just means that you have to manually enter their work order into Fish.
Yeah. So they're in ResponsiBid now. They're scheduled, let's say whatever, May 20th, 8:30 to 12:30 arrival time. The premium window cleaning, it's $920. Now there's no link between ResponsiBid and Fish 3, which is the worst thing in the world. It's horrible. Now, and Liz usually does it in week batches, like on Monday or Tuesday of this week, she'll put in all the customers for next week. So if they're scheduled for what did I say? No, May 20th is next Tuesday. So today she will enter all the customers for like the 20th and 21st into Fish 3, and it's quite literally just copy and pasting from ResponsiBid into Fish 3. And there's a factor of errors happening sometimes. You're doing 5 or 10 or 20 of these per day. So sometimes you spell an email wrong, or you copy and paste something wrong, or you put the 20th when they're actually scheduled for the 21st. And that's usually not a big issue because we go off of what's in ResponsiBid, because we also have the feature in ResponsiBid where customers can schedule themselves online through their proposal link. So if they schedule the 20th, they probably didn't make a mistake, right? If we enter it into Fish 3 as a 21st, we made a mistake, right? The customer probably meant the 20th. So, but yeah, once they're in scheduled, they go into Fish 3. It's a manual process, and that's that.
And since ResponsiBid normally would read the calendar of the CRM, I'm assuming you're using Google Calendar as the calendar that ResponsiBid is reading for that. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. So we have when you rolled out CrewCal, which I'm still mad that I didn't get a free lifetime subscription because I thought it was a silly idea. But it's not. it's not the only way to use ResponsiBid, right? When we first started, the first maybe year or 2 years, we used the where the customer uh, gives you three dates that they're available. So they'll
Availability
do,
slots.
yeah, availability slots. Yeah, so like morning,
Yeah.
afternoon of May 20th, afternoon of May 23rd, and morning of May 30th, right? So then at that point, when we were using that system, we would then email or call the customer and say, "Hey, Jennifer, you said that you're good for May 30th in the afternoon. You're in for May 30th, 12 to 3 arrival time. We're good." Because they already told you that they're available then. So the sale is
Mhm.
already done for the most part, right? Now, though, we do use Google Calendar. It's integrated with CrewCal. Customers can schedule by themselves. We have all the parameters set as far as how much capacity we have per van per day, um, and all that stuff.
And to be clear, CrewCal is just a feature inside of ResponsiBid. It's not like yeah, it's just a feature we added. We actually ended up
Yeah,
buying the technology and putting it in from one of our technician or one of our developers who actually built it.
yep,
And the reason that Dave thought it was a silly idea is because on the surface, it really is a stupid idea. No one in the world would want to turn their calendar over to their customers. It's like,
yeah,
you're going to schedule this job. Yeah, right. You're going to put it like way too far away from all my other jobs. I'm going to drive it all over God's creation. I'm going to have the wrong techs assigned, people who can't even do the type of work. Now, because your company is very focused on the kind of cleaning it does, maybe that's not such a big issue for you. But if you've got 10 trucks and 2 of them have pressure washers on it, you can't be
yeah,
assigning it to crews that don't have pressure washers
yep,
if they have a house wash. So, but CrewCal actually sidesteps all of those issues because it actually reads in real time everything that's on the schedule, where they are located, how far of a drive it is from the person who's trying to schedule, how much availability is there, and the capabilities, the speed at which each technician or crew can work.
yep,
And so what's cool is it's like, yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's as simple as, all right, pick a date and a time off the calendar. Boom. All right, you're in. And then it goes in once they schedule it and it puts it on Google Calendar and it builds in the right amount of drive time and it gives an arrival window and it gives it to the right crews. And it's actually really cool.
yep. And so, like, to kind of expound on that is, so right, a lot of us do a lot of route work or commercial work, so that stuff generally doesn't require a specific vehicle or specific equipment. Yes, that sometimes if there's lifts involved or water fed equipment or whatever, but the way that we have it set up is our ops manager also has access to the Google calendars, and he can, like, if there's a $5,000 commercial building that needs to be done on Wednesday, May 21st, he can block off 2 vans, our calendars, so to speak, um, in Google Calendar, and then ResponsiBid won't schedule a customer for those 2 vans, right? We'll just block it off and we'll name it whatever commercial job, $5,000. And there's 2 vans that are totally blocked off. So nobody sees that, right? The customer doesn't see that and our admin doesn't see that. Those are blocked off. So I think a lot of people may not be aware of that, because sometimes I talk to people about, the self-scheduling, they freak out, right? They're like, oh, a customer is going to schedule. Oh my God, it's horrible. But once you tweak it, it works very well.
When we rolled this out, and even today, I still think it's so far ahead of where any other technology is. I remember when we first rolled it out, we had 2 camps. We had people who are like, "Don't you dare touch my calendar," and then we had other people like, "Shut up and take my money." It was very different, and to
Yeah.
this day, it's such a cool thing. So, okay, so customer schedules, they got their work order in Fish 3. The technicians do the job; it's completed. Are you using any follow up and response a bit? We've talked about the follow up, trying to sell the job or confirm the job via scheduled status.
Mhm.
Do you do anything in terms of someone who's declined a job or anybody who has completed a job?
Yep. So I copied all this off you, Kurt, because I wasn't
Mhm.
smart enough back then. Still not smart enough to figure it out on my own. So when we have a customer in the scheduled status, if they're scheduled for May 20th, next Tuesday, I have it set in ResponsiBid. I don't think this is by default, but I have it set, I don't know, 8 hours or something after the start time of the appointment, that it automatically rolls into closed status, right? 8 hours or 10 hours or something, I don't remember. Um,
Mhm.
so if they're scheduled for 8:30 a.m. on next Wednesday, then at 6:30 p.m. or whatever it is, they will roll into the closed status. And the closed status, I'm probably crazy here, I have 9 years of follow up in the closed status, right? So
Dude, shout
you can
out on
customize this
that.
to whatever you want. Because we do have customers that get their windows cleaned once every 5 or 7 or 10 years or whatever. Um, so after they're in the closed status, we have the quality control text and email that goes out. So one goes from our ops manager's email, right? He's set up as a user in ResponsiBid, so it goes from our ops manager, and it says something like, "Hope you're having an amazing experience so far, Jennifer. Thanks for your support. If you need anything, let me know." And he will get. I have, I think, 2 or 3 from the past couple of days. He will get replies by email that say, "Hey, your technician Chris was amazing. He's a great representative for fish. Thank you for sending him." Or sometimes, bad stuff happens too. "Hey, they missed one window in the garage. Can you guys swing by and get it, when you're in the area?" Right? But that email goes out automatically. So quality control. Then we have the every 6 months we have a text and an email that goes out. It says, "Hey, do you need anything? We were out there 6 months ago, 18 months ago, 24 months ago." And that is 100% automated. Nobody has to pick up the phone. Nobody has to text the customer. They go out on their own. That's why we've built a very good repeat residential business.
I think that's so key. You know what? So many people who don't view their business as a business and view it more as a job, so many people will go out and give a quote, work so hard, and then never follow up with that person and never get the job. You did all the work to get it. You went in person, you did the work, and you don't do it. What's
Yep.
even worse is when you please that customer and then you let them forget who you are and you forget who they are. And if they call, they call. And if they don't call, they don't call. But this whole it's been 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. It's been 7.5 years. These emails that you're sending, these reminders, it does a couple things. The first is it gets people to look up for a second and say, "Do I have a need?" Which is obvious. Like if they have a need, that's cool. But you know what else it does is it reinforces the fact that at Fish, they really are on the ball. These people take care of their customers and they have a system for things. When the fly by night guy comes and just gives a price on a piece of paper and hands it to them, there isn't any assurance that if I run into a problem, this company is going to be equipped to handle it. Like the legitimacy that comes from somebody who has systematized their customer service experience is huge and it cannot be overstated. So, whether it's a closed, we haven't talked about, are you using the decline status, Dave?
Yeah, we are. Yep. Yeah. So
Okay.
we use declined as well. So if somebody either they respond to one of our follow-ups, text or email, or a phone call. So our follow-up status for the open status is whatever it is, like 30 days or something. Text, email, more emails, and we even have like our an internal email that goes to our office manager Liz for her to call the customer too. Right. So if at any of those points they either respond to text or to email and say, "No, we're not interested, I'm going to have my uncle do it or somebody else, or I change my mind," there's no automated way to change it to declined. We manually change it. But we also have, after whatever it is, 30 days, we do have open statuses go automatically into declined. So we do use declined, and then we have, I don't remember, 3 years of follow-up or something for declined. And I'm going to read you a review that a guy left us about a month ago, and he went into the decline status. You guys will love this. And the decline status just, it just says things like, "Hey, did you get everything you needed? We're still here to help you." Whatever the language you want to use, it has to be just very like, "Hey, we're here to help you. Do you have any questions? Did you get our email? Did you get our text message?" So this guy left about a month ago. He left a Google review, which is a 2-star review. So he didn't leave 1 star. So that's awesome. And he said, "I solicited a quote, which was received quickly. That's really good. And they came in more expensive than competitors. And that's fine. No hard feelings. I told him I'm not interested in their services, but then I received several messages via email and text. He got 2 texts and 1 email, so not that many, to convince me to reconsider their services. That's annoying. Once a person declines services, that should be the end of communications. Respect the person is not interested and move on. I recommend you use another email or phone number if you get quotes. I can't comment on the quality of their services because I didn't use them." Right. This is one out of, like, we get probably 2 or 3 dozen a year that from the decline status that say, "Hey, uh, bad stuff was happening in life. We just couldn't, we weren't ready to schedule back a year ago. We're happy to use you now. Let's go ahead and do it." Or, "We used someone else. They didn't show up," or whatever the situation may be. Very rarely you get bad ones like this. And this is a, you know, pretty weird one. He got 2 texts and 1 email in the decline status, and he did not click the unsubscribe button, so that's on him.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is I'm just
It's
going
at
to
the
say
bottom of
there's
every email.
and text. You can opt out at the very first one. It does say
Right.
to stop receiving
Yep.
fiction, opt out. Here's the thing that message sends, and I love this, is that sends to the people who read that. Even their bad reviews are about how clearly they communicate and how much they stay on top of the ball. I'll tell you, there is a whole Thanksgiving feast of crumbs that are falling to the wayside. The person who says, "Oh, you're too expensive, I'm not going to use you," and what do? They go to the cheaper guy. And what's the likelihood of the cheaper guy having problems? Probably pretty good, because he can't keep up, or whatever the problems are. The cheap guy typically does have a fair amount of problems. And what happens is you get these calls back, and I don't want to put any words in your mouth, Dave, but I can tell you, when I was running my cleaning company, one of the best things that comes out of a client, and this is what people come up and tell me all the time at events, is that they said something annoying. Like, they said something like, "Oh my gosh, you guys got to be crazy for charging that much." And then that's the last communication. So then you do the classy kiss goodbye, which is that first email that goes out, "Hey, thanks for giving us a shot." Or, you can say it however you want, but essentially you're just saying, "Thanks for giving us a shot. If you ever need us, we're here for you." You leave the door open, even though they slammed it shut.
Yep.
What happens is that the guy who gave them the cheap price that either never shows up or answers their phone call again, or comes out and does really crappy work and ruins all their flower beds or whatever. Now, a few days later, a month later, we send this text message out that says, "Hey, I hope everything went great for you. I'm sure you made a great choice." Again, you're classy about it. What happens is that person who kind of slammed the door shut, like, "We'll never do business again," they know what your price is. They know that you're on the ball, and that's the big problem, beef that they're having with probably the other person who they didn't get good service from. And guess what? Now they can come back to you and go, "Hey, Dave, thanks for sending that text. Actually, it didn't go great. Can you believe it? Would you guys be able to come out and fix this problem?" Or whatever. That business that would have fallen away, just like Dave already said, he's got 9 years of building layers on his onion of business. It's just growing layer by layer by layer of years of not forgetting. You're doing the same thing with your decline customers. It's powerful.
Oh yeah. Yep. It certainly is. Yeah. And it's just a matter. It's just keeping on top and making sure you're staying in touch with people. And that's it.
I want to show your process, but before we do, I want to just bring up a couple comments that have been made today in the comment section. Ray said, "All our proposals offer an option for house wash. We offer bundles when appropriate." So I just want to point out that obviously, as franchisees, you guys can do however you want, and ResponsiBid is pretty flexible. If someone calls you for a window cleaning and you offer pressure washing or house washing, but you don't tell the customer or give them a price for it, that's almost should be a crime, because this is an opportunity for their windows to be cleaned after the water has been washing down their house, right? And the other cool thing is that no one wants nice, brilliantly, beautifully clean windows with a house that needs to be pressure washed at the end. So you're doing the customer a favor every time you do that. And it's really important to make sure that they see it. So this is a way to put it in front of someone. Again, classy is key. So you want to make sure that you are putting this stuff in front of customers who are in the market right at this moment. So I just want to point that one out. Do you have anything to add to that? I know it's not necessarily your wheelhouse, Dave. But
I mean, we do gutter cleaning, so we offer we have gutter cleaning upsell for every single estimate that goes out, right? Every single one that goes out, and we just price, by square footage of the house or whatever, and just averages out in the end. So every single they ask for windows, they get a gutters. They get gutters. We also we also add a window cleaning estimate. Liz will take a look online and put in the window counts and everything. So they always get both. We don't do pressure washing or house washing or anything. So that's different, but same concept.
Yeah, if you're driving up to the house and you got people who are equipped to do it, like, come on, let's go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one's actually from Roland. He says, "We're currently using ResponsiBid for retail, but we're getting bottlenecked with the scheduling because it's repeat service." Do you have anything to speak on that, Dave?
I know Roland. Roland's probably one of the first ones that uses ResponsiBid for recurring commercial work. I don't, so I have no idea how to help there. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll tell you from my perspective. I'm not exactly sure what your whole process is, Roland, but one thing I would recommend is if you're getting the scheduling done on the Google Calendar, you can put the repeat on Google Calendar as well. And that repeat will block off and properly schedule all of the future jobs so that your calendar will properly reflect your availability for that particular crew who's doing that job. That may be a problem for you still, maybe something you already thought of, but that is an important component. And just know that you can also have a module for retail that is separate from residential within your window cleaning. So it only triggers for commercial type clients, and you can make it so that CrewCal, the scheduling software, does not schedule that type of work, but it does schedule the residential version. So that could also be something to be considering. I know that as of late, since a lot of people are using ResponsiBid for commercial work now with some of the new features we've turned on, I know that there is a need for this. So if you need any help with that, one of the things we haven't talked about yet is that you do get your own success coach assigned to you, and your success coach would be able to kind of walk you through a couple of those options if that's something that could work for you. But obviously retail needs to schedule as well. And sometimes you just want admins to do that, not customers directly. Okay. Danica says, we use it for commercial too. Our office manager reached out to confirm the details and to make sure we're getting the payment method on file, but we make sure the customer knows that's the next step. So this is important too, is that, I'm going to hide this so we can see your face again, Dave. She makes up a really good point. You can automate what you can automate, and you don't automate what you can't automate, and that's fine. What she is expressing is that automation makes it so that you have this big, beautiful safety net of like, I know these things will happen if things are allowed to go on their own. But communication, there's no way to substitute good communication. Communication can be automated, but if the customer doesn't know what the next step is via automation or a manual trigger of some kind, then your customer is left in the dark. And so having a safety net doesn't mean you stop communicating. And Danica, I think, did a good job of sort of illustrating that. She also said, so they're expecting the call. We let them know when the service will begin. Then we put it into Fish. So, and then Roland says that he's trying to automate as much as possible. Oh, and Danica brought this up. We actually do have a roadmap. Recurring is on the roadmap. And for those of you who are interested, we are rolling out into beta for people who are not connected to a CRM. We are rolling out into beta very soon. I'm doing some testing right after this to make sure it's ready for beta. But we have this new jobs feature, and I can talk about it in a smallish setting like this when it's a newish feature. But the ability for you to create jobs inside of ResponsiBid and really lay them out, which is the first step to the recurring that she's referring to. So we actually are moving down this path right now. I'm not saying that the beta has recurring in it. What I'm saying is it has the foundation of recurring. So this is a massive first step towards a pretty quick opportunity to capture the recurring work inside of ResponsiBid as well, which will go one more step further towards what Roland was talking about earlier.
Yeah, I think from like the recurring feature or whatever, I think Roland and one or two other people do try and put like storefront and route work into ResponsiBid, but it's more just to sell it initially. Like it doesn't matter after that. Like after that, you just put it into Fish 3, and then you get your weekly or bi-weekly work orders printed, and that's it. It's just for the selling initially. So I don't think it's a big deal. I've seen what Roland did. Like I copied his module. It's kind of cool, but I mean we just don't use it.
Okay. Well, actually, that's another good point. ResponsiBid is designed to be your sales funnel. When you have no more need for a sales funnel, i.e., they've signed a contract or they're moving into recurring work, then a lot of the stuff we've talked about as far as building layers is really unnecessary, and you don't want to overcomplicate your system. So if it works good for you and it's not complicating it, then obviously that's a good layer. And that's where people can agree to disagree too. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship, where Dave could say, this is the system that works best for me. And someone else who's trying to automate every single bit that they possibly can would say, I'm willing to go 2 to 3, 4 steps further than you are because of my goals. That's autonomy in a nutshell.
Yep.
Okay. A couple more things real quick. We have Danica saying that she also added exterior lights as an add-on. I remember when I had my window cleaning and pressure washing business, I could not believe how much money extra we could make at a house. Like, can you believe that people have like 30 or 40 lights around their house, like exterior lights? And then we have another one here. We have sell chandeliers, ceiling fans, mirrors, and light fixtures. You guys already kind of know this. I just know that selling this stuff can be a real pain in the neck if you haven't systematized it or automated it. But there's so much money. And the idea is if I can get my crew to a job, and instead of having to go to 4 jobs in one day, I can get them to go to 1 or 2 jobs in that day. That's a lot less windshield time. And that's what this is doing here, is it's increasing the average ticket price, adding a lot more value per stop. And that all goes right to the bottom line with no extra expensive travel. And the customer's getting a better deal too, because they're getting everything done all at once. So it's pretty cool. Little shout out from Danica, Sydney. Sydney is awesome. I'm assuming that must be your success coach. She is fantastic, and I sometimes have to pinch myself. I can't believe she's on our team. It's so cool. And then Danica said, David hit the nail on the head. Sell commercial on ResponsiBid, pivot to Fish 3. It's so helpful in the follow-up. So, okay. Thank you all for your comments. Those of you who are still here and wanting to see sort of a live demo of what ResponsiBid looks like and how Dave works it through his workflow. Dave, you ready for me to kind of put you on screen share here so that we can walk through how you do stuff?
Sure. Yep.
All right.
It's probably the wrong way to do it, but I'll show everybody.
No, I think it's cool that this is awesome. We're getting to see under the hood of someone's business. I know that when I ran mine, I would have loved for someone to show me what they actually do. So this is cool.
Sure. Yep. So I mean, this is what our customer profile looks like. So even before then, so we go into, like, somebody calls in and we go straight to the call screen up here. I got bad internet. Sorry, guys. So and I think, Kurt, all this stuff is customizable, right? You can require email or not require email. You can require phone number, right? So like we set this up to what the info we want: first name, last name, cell phone, email, and the address, right? So we go through that, we enter all that stuff in. Then we go and we pick, we have ceiling or window cleaning, ceiling fan cleaning, outdoor light fixtures. We have this postcard deal that we have gutters, storefront. This is I copied from Roland, but we don't use it. So most of the time for us, it's window cleaning. So we'll select window cleaning, we hit continue, and this is all the customer still on the phone. We pull up the house address. We ask how they heard about us. They say Google. Okay, great. We look up online. It's a 2-story house. There's no walkout basement. It's 4,600 square feet, whatever. We hit continue. And then we set this up to be I'm a fan of simplicity. We made it very simple. First step is, do they have storm windows? If we can see online that they do, we flat out tell them, sorry, we don't clean storm windows. You can call somebody else. Right now. Yeah, we stopped doing storm windows several years ago. Yeah. The guys
Hard
didn't
line.
like coming back to the shop with like bloody knuckles and stuff. So we just say we don't clean storm windows. But after that, it's, we set it up very simple: single or double hung windows, casement windows, true divided, glass doors, and skylights. That's it. Yes, there are lots of other types of windows, right? But we set up our pricing to be a little higher than it needs to be, for the fact that we might miss a window or two, right? We're looking on Google. We see whatever 8 double hung windows in the front of the house, 3 on the side, that's 11, 6 on the other side, that's 17, and then 12 on the back, so that's 29, double hung windows. Then there's some sliding glass doors in the back, there's 2 of those, right? If there's one casement window that we miss, who cares? Right? It's going to average out in the end, right? So we put all that info in, and then all we care about, again, this is all customizable, right, Kurt? You can ask like 15 different questions. We ask, are there any hard water stains that they know about? And do they have removable grids or mullions on the inside, plastic or wood, right? So let's say they say yes, they have wooden grids. We hit yes there, and it charges an extra 25% or whatever. Then we hit continue.
Let me, if I could, real quick, Dave. So did you price like this before ResponsiBid, or did you need to figure some of this stuff out once you got the system?
I mean, it was a long time ago. I can't truthfully answer that. I probably sort of did, but didn't have it as structured as it is now. Right? Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I want to just
We
point
did. I mean,
out that
we would count. It's like double hung windows. It's X amount.
Danica brought up that she loves Sydney, and I want to point out, just to shout out Danica here. Some people know their whole system, and we convert ResponsiBid to match their system. Other people are going to watch what you just did, and they're like, "Oh man, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like our process is so much more complicated." Well, when you're with your coach, you have an opportunity to either simplify or match or whatever. You said you're a big fan of simplicity. A lot of people are a big fan of simplicity. The cool thing
Yeah.
is that if you can be simple and still get pricing accurate, ResponsiBid will allow you to do that. If you have to be really complicated and you got to get after that, then we can also allow that. But you'll have a coach right by your side, adding the questions that you want to add or subtracting the ones that don't make any sense, because we do start out with a template with you. So anyway, I
Yeah.
just want to point out for those that are thinking that is the
Yeah.
case.
That's a great point. It's however you want to do it, right? You want to have 15 different types of windows. I mean, that's fine. I mean, do whatever you want. Like, some people count panes, some people count windows, but like whatever, whatever way that you want to do it is fine. So, so again, this is like a created, test bid. So we have all the information up here, how did you hear about us, the house size and all that. And then we put in here it is, and you need to change this, we can change it. We thought she had 27 windows, she actually has 33 double hung windows, we can change that, and then it produces our packages again, which we set up. So I think I've heard this several times from fish franchisees. Oh wow, oh your inside outside window cleaning is $747, like how is that just a price for everyone? And I have to like walk back and no, that's unique for this house, right? It's
Yeah.
not 747 for every single house. It's based on what I put in here. So like you can even
Yep.
see the math right somewhere in here. So,
Yeah. Right there.
33 double hung windows, they're 2150 each, and 2 glass doors are 1850 each, and it does the math there. So like Kurt said, you could set it up to whatever your local pricing is, however simple or complex you want it to be. You can set it up. So that's kind of like a put together package. We have our 3 packages. I think you could do 4 or 5 or 2 or whatever, right? I mean, you can do whatever
Yep.
you want.
Yep.
The package thing blew my mind, like when I first started using ResponsiBid, because we used to only quote what the customer asked for. They would call in and say, "Hey, I want all the outsides of my windows cleaned in my house, 123 Main Street." And you're like, "Okay, great." And you go out and you do the estimate and you give her the price just for the outside. And
And then,
don't even give the customer the option to do inside and outside, right?
yeah.
Unless they then call you and, hey, I saw your price is $392 for the outside. It's less than I thought. How about inside and outside? Now you have to go back and look at your notes and figure stuff out, right? Whereas you could
Yeah.
have saved them a step, and the customer could have just went straight to the premium or the deluxe or whatever you want to call them, silver, gold, and platinum, whatever. So that blew my mind. And we
I
started
want
doing
to
that
I want to
every
take a
year.
second. There's something really important about the way you've put your packages together, and I just want to point it out. In fact, if you would, Dave, can you take me to your proposal, just so I can look at it from the customer's perspective?
Oh, like customer's perspective.
Yeah, last recalculation date's good. So in this case, if a customer did come to you thinking that they were going to do outside only, one of the important things that's going on here is that when they scroll down and look at their window cleaning options, that $957 price that they're looking at may blow their mind. It may like really hurt their feelings. It might make them feel like, I'm a dentist and there's no way do people pay that kind of money for window cleaning. But it's as normal and natural as it can possibly be. That 957 sits there doing what's called price anchoring. And it's not like 957 is a fake price, but because it's actually what it costs
My
to do
price.
that work. But the thing is that when they see that and they came in thinking they're going to pay $99 for their windows to get cleaned, because that's probably about what they think the going rate would be, 957 resets their mind. It's not even there necessarily to sell it to that particular customer per se. It's there to help them understand, if you want that kind of value, we can provide that kind of value. guess what happens? So they're going to say no to that. Like a person who's thinking that it's going to be $99 to clean their windows probably isn't going to go with the premium. But the thing is, when they see the $747 price or your middle price, once their brain has been cleared, the slate has been anchored to like what people can and do pay for window cleaning. Now they're starting to check their bank account and like, gosh, having windows in and out done, that would be nice. I know that my maid cleans the inside, but I clearly know that she's just smearing dirt around on the inside. Like, I don't want to clean the outside just to have a really yucky looking view still. So it allows them to get their head around $747. If you had only given the $392 price and they were expecting $99, I can promise you that $392 would anchor them to a price they're still not going to pay. But you could find someone who wouldn't have paid $392 in this particular scenario with the pricing the way it came out, actually buying the $747 package because they're in the right frame of mind now. And I only bring that up because for those of you who are giving that ultimatum pricing where you just shoot one price at them, you're missing out on this whole thing that David's enjoying here with price anchoring and good, better, best.
Yep. We actually, Kurt, we implemented this in our other business as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A different industry and everything, but works kind of the same. But yeah, Kurt makes an excellent point. Plus, I think it trains your market as well, right? Because if the customer really is thinking it's $99, even just to clean the outside, and here we have $392, let them call the guy that's going to charge $99, and he'll be too busy, and then you'll get all the higher paying clients, right? I hate to put it that way, but he's one guy, or him and his cousin or whatever. They can only do so much in a day. And when customers need the service, they will call you because you follow up consistently and because you present yourself well. So offering them multiple options is certainly this is absolutely a game changer. I can't believe I didn't think of it myself. But I copied you.
All good.
So yeah, and we do the same thing with gutters too. We implemented the same thing for gutters, or not screens, or gutters right here, right? We do the same exact thing, right? So
yeah.
And go back.
Tell me a little bit about that video down below. What are you doing with that video there? In the gutters.
Hold on, let me go back.
Oh,
the video. What videos? I got a couple of videos. I think we added these a few years ago. So we have the general one, right? Because nobody has went out to do the estimate. So we have we have the video that just introduces us and Fish, right? Just who I am, who our office is, and like we're human, right? Because I've never met this person. Most of the time, they'd speak with Liz in our office for 3 minutes, or they go online and they request an estimate, and we put all the info in, and they never talk to anyone ever, and they just schedule themselves. And the first interaction they have with us is our guys showing up at their house next Wednesday. So the video just introduces us.
Become really important.
Yep. So that's that one. Then we have one for window cleaning specifically, explains what each package is. And even though we have it in text and we have a video, there's some people that, the guys show up and they're like, oh, so does the deluxe include track cleaning? And the guys have to say, please check your email, Miss Smith. There's a video that says it doesn't, but it helps, right? Because then we do get emails and phone calls that ask specifically like, hey, what I saw the difference between premium and deluxe is this. Can you explain a little more, or what do you recommend? Or I just bought this house. Should I do the premium or the deluxe? So people do read it. You definitely know people read it. And the video helps. Again, it's I don't know, a minute and a half long, right? It just explains exactly what we're doing for each package. And same for gutters. We have a video as well. What we're doing in each package of gutter cleaning. Because you're not there to talk to the person. I know there's a lot of other exterior cleaning companies that do the whole, in-person sales, glossy folders, all that stuff to get the highest ticket. That's not how I structured my business. I don't want to be driving around. I have a salesperson driving around all day, every day. So.
Well, and people with glossy folders use ResponsiBid for that follow-up. This is an interactive proposal, right? Like I hand you a folder with this piece of paper. I can't push a button and keep moving and watch a video on a piece of paper. So this is actually really, really valid and cool the way you've set it up. We're kind of getting to the part where I want to get to Q&A here. But I do think it's important. Like you just illustrated it here, but this is I think a really good one Roland just brought up. Doing a house Thursday, $400. System upsold a chandelier, an additional $1,000. Upsell is worth over double the requested service. This is the power of being able to get out there and help the customer see what they actually want. The funny thing is that if Roland hadn't put a chandelier on there for an extra $1,000, the customer would have thought, all right, got the windows figured out. Now who are I got to start hunting down, figuring out who is going to clean the chandelier. How are we going to, is there a chandelier cleaning company out there?
Yep.
And you were just there. You were just there, but
Yep.
they don't even know.
Yep.
So if you guys have questions, let's go ahead and have you throw those into the chat. I'm happy to answer any that you might have, whether it's Dave or myself. But one of the other points that I wanted to point out, that if you're watching closely, inside of the admin area, Dave was able to change the price in terms of just moving specs around.
Yep.
There was an option we didn't go into where he could have actually gone in and just put a price in. I'm just going to put a flat price in, like I know something. He could have added adjustments, just tack on an extra $50 for X or Y or Z. There's a lot of ways to manipulate the pricing, and I don't want to get so complicated that we get into like all of those particular details. But I can tell you right now that, well, actually, I'll let Danica tell you right now. She says the biggest part about ResponsiBid for commercial is how easy it is to train someone to do estimates in the field. The biggest thing about systematizing your sales process is that you get out of the way of the customer trying to get to what they want, which is a price. And so the cool thing is that once it's systematized, you could hire someone today, and as long as they know how to count, and as long as they've been taught some of the terminology that they need to know and how to talk to customers, the learning curve is very quick. And I know a lot of people have been in business 20 years and they couldn't send anyone out to give prices because only I can give pricing. Well, you're going to be stuck with the last 20 years and the next 20 years because you're bottlenecked. And this is the key of getting out from underneath your business. All right. Armando just asked, any preferred pricing for franchisees? Well, I'm glad you asked, Armando. Yes, there is. I'm just flashing up here on the screen. Get.responsi.bid/Galkin. That URL gets you special pricing, and it hooks up Dave with some free usage of ResponsiBid himself too. Gets him some credit on his account. So you both benefit from this. We have absolutely loved serving Dave, and he's on here just sharing things, but we want to make sure that he gets some compensation for this as well. So I just want to make sure that no one thinks like at the end of this that we were trying to sneak something by. I want to be super forthright. Transparency is one of our company values. But I do, if you go there, you will see you have a pretty incredible savings off of our normal plans. And if it is, you want a demo, if you just want to get a demo, when you do so, you can get Dave's pricing as well. But it's just ResponsiBid.com and RESPONS.
So there's no contracts or anything. Kurt's a super awesome dude. His team are great people. They're not gonna, if it doesn't work for you in 3 months, they'll be like, all right, anything we can do to help you. And if it still doesn't work, they'll say, okay, I hope you find something that works for you. I'm sorry it didn't work. They're not going to lock you in or whatever, like Verizon or somebody into some silly contract. So super nice people. Yeah, and I'll buy you drinks at convention if you click my link.
There you go. Well, let me tell you, we're not trying to rope people into something. This needs to be a massive ROI for you to make sense. That's how we stay in business. And with this price that you get there, you get your assigned coach, success coach, who will help you with the setup, getting it all launched, and take you through our 6 steps to success process. So we have a whole process designed to help download your brain and bring in industry best practices for the things that you aren't sure how you want to do it, help you get it all systematized. So feel free, please go there. We'd love to have you there. If you want a demo, please put it in the comment section here so that we can reach out to you. You could go to our website, ResponsiBid.com, but we're here right now together. Just put a comment in and say, I'd like a demo. We will reach out in touch with you to get that set up if you have specific questions. Obviously, you can ask questions here as well. Happy to screen share and show more if you need to, but we are coming up on an hour, and I just want to make sure that you guys know that we're there for you. Can a Google review be added to the proposal? Yes, actually it can. The cool thing that you can do in ResponsiBid is you can add your insurance. You can add anything you want to the bottom. There's a bunch of tabs at the bottom.
Actually, we have all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Let me share your screen. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we have all that stuff at the end here. Right. So I have a picture of me and my kids.
Right above,
right. We have our proof of insurance. Oh, there it is. Proof of insurance. Right. I mean, how many companies do that? Like the customer doesn't have to ask. It's right there. Right. It says proof of insurance. Right.
Yeah.
We have these little things about, rain and dirty windows, right? So people ask about that. We have that already in there. Water fed cleaning. We have a little PDF here. We have about water fed stuff because we ask about that. So lots of information before the customer even asks, right? Because over the years, that's what we've seen. A lot of customers ask for that stuff, so we just provide it.
And another thing that you can do if you want to go crazy, if you want to scroll up just a little bit, Dave, up like by the pricing area, you can put in that details area, you can install HTML. So, and JavaScript. So if you wanted to, in that field, you actually could graphically display reviews as well. So I do recommend it at the bottom because it's really designed for that. But if you're like, no, but Kurt, I need it to be there, you could reasonably do that as well. So that's an option.
Okay. Yeah, you can ask for a review right up. Actually, we even ask in our follow-up status, in our open status, like we ask for a review before we even come out there. Right? It's in our scheduled status, I think. Right? It says, hey, if you guys are happy when we come out tomorrow, we want a review. Right? So we're already planting that seed in people's minds, like, hey, you better leave us a review. So yeah, there's lots of features and customization and stuff that you can put in here.
Yeah.
But,
okay. Well, it looks like everybody's just saying, great job, David. And to be honest with you, this was really cool of you to do. I know when I brought it up to you, you're like, I mean, yeah, if that's what you want. So thanks for doing this. Everybody,
the big thing here, like a lot of people ask, everything is customizable. People.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. I think I was lagging there. Yeah, a lot of everything is customizable. Like you want to send an email every single day, as a follow-up, you can. You want to send it once every 3 weeks, you can. Like whatever works for you, your personality, your market, all that stuff. It's none of it is like set in stone. I think a lot of people have this. Franchisees think it's like set in stone. And Fish won't yell at you for using this because I've been using it for 7 years, and about 20 other franchisees use it now as well. So keep that in mind.
We do love serving the fish community. So yeah, if you guys need anything, never hesitate to reach out. I will tell you that one of the biggest comments we get about ResponsiBid is that you didn't just buy software, you got a team. We're here to help you, and just a great bunch of people. I really am proud of the team that we've been able to assemble to help people. So yeah, let us know if you need anything. We can reach out to you. You can reach out to us, whatever works, but take advantage of that that special pricing. And if for whatever reason you're not in a position to do anything about it right now, we can also send you that link as well. So just as part of attending the webinar today. So all right, everybody, hope you have a fantastic week. And David, thanks again. And we will see you guys on the flippity flip. Bye.
Thank you, guys.